Hi guys, it's Olivia here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to give you my February wrap up. I felt like I wasn't reading anything in February, and then it comes to the end of the month and I realised that somehow I've managed to read 8 books, so I'm here to tell you what those 8 books were and my general thoughts on them. So I'll be going in no particular order, and one of the books that I read in the month of February was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This is a book I've owned for 3 years, and when the Travelling Bookworm on Instagram said that she was going to read it, I thought, hey, let's do a buddy read. So I'll leave a link to her Instagram below. It's great to buddy read this one with her. It's basically about these 4 boys. 4 boys? Yes. 4 boys who are the Raven Boys. They go to school at Aglinby, I'm not really sure how you pronounce that, and they're on the hunt for this mysterious Welsh king who they believe is buried along a ley line and is still alive. And then there's Blue, who lives in a family of people who tell the future, and Blue has always been told since she's grown up that if she kisses her true love in the future, he will die. So Blue and the Raven Boys' lives somehow come together, and they're all on this hunt for this mysteriously dead Welsh king who might still be alive along the ley line. I absolutely loved this book. Why did it take me 3 years to get around to it? I don't even know. It was absolutely fantastic. Even though I feel like not a lot happened, the suspense just builds so well throughout the book that I couldn't help but enjoy it, and the end was so full of tension. I could literally smell it coming out of the pages. And on top of that, the characters were just A+. I loved all of the characters. I love the Raven Boys. Adam, he has my heart, but I'll do more detail in a review someday, sometime. The next book I read was Stygian by Santino Hassel. Is this even an Olivia's Catastrophe wrap-up if I haven't read a Santino Hassel book? This is a book that I've read many times, and I've told you about many times, about a group of bandmates who go to this mysteriously haunted house for their retreat. They weren't aware that it was a haunted house, and yeah, things are very creepy, especially with the landowners. And it's a new adult romance. I absolutely love it. Santino Hassel is one of my favourite authors. 5 out of 5 stars. Must read, basically a must read. I also read Pale Horse, Pale Rider and other selected short stories by Catherine Ann Porter. Now, this was one I had to read for my course. I only had to read the short story called Pale Horse, Pale Rider, but I decided to read the whole collection because I loved that short story so much. Me and short story collections, we don't go along well. I usually don't enjoy them. I don't think I've ever rated one more than 3 stars because there's such a mix of stories, some that I love, some that I hate. It just never is a complete collection where I've loved every single story until now. I absolutely loved every single story in this book. They're very character driven, so it's more about the characters and what the characters learn throughout the story, but her writing style is so beautiful. She has such a poetic kind of way with words, but in a way that makes her images so stark and clear, and just some lines just touched my heart. I absolutely loved every single story. This is my favourite short story collection ever. I also read Where Europe Begins by Yoko Tawada. This was another one I had to read for my course, and if you can believe it, I read the book wrong. You know, it's hard to read books wrong, but I totally read this one wrong. I thought it was a novel. It's a short story collection, which makes things a lot more clear, because I was wondering, how does this story all make sense? These characters just going through so many different situations all of a sudden. It's a short story collection, they're all different main characters, but at the same time there's something that kind of links all the short stories, but it just makes so much more sense this way. These are a collection of short stories that are quite surreal and have to do with the body and language. It almost reads like magical realism in a kind of way, and to be honest, I find it very hard to make sense of this book. But once I read the studious, analytical essays about this book, it started to make more sense. So I would recommend that if you do choose to read this one, you do some background research on Yoko Tawada, her writings, and kind of what this one is more about in an analytical sense, to really be able to understand and appreciate the short stories. Even though I read it wrong, I did enjoy it, but yeah, it would be nice if I'd known it was a short story collection to start with. And then the last physical book that I read was, well, this is just the Norton anthology, but from this I read Defense of Poesy and also Astrophil and Stella by Sir Philip Sidney. Catastrophe and Stella is like a long poem, and The Defense of Poesy is like an essay about poetry and what it's for and what it's not for. I did not enjoy reading The Defense of Poesy at all because I just found it utterly boring, utterly plain. It's written in the Renaissance time, and I didn't agree with everything that he said about poetry. Like, I agreed with some things but not everything. I did enjoy Catastrophe and Stella. I thought it was just a beautiful, written, poetic love poem. And yeah, I just enjoyed it. That's really all I've got to say about it. That was the last of the physical books I read, and then I read 3 ebooks this month. The first one was Broken Moon by Sarah Beth Moore. I have a review of this already filmed and going to be coming out very soon, but it follows a main character who is not who she thought she was. She ends up being adopted, and she has to go on this quest which kind of her whole world depends on, and she's being hunted by the authority because this is a dystopian society and they don't want her finding whatever it is that she needs to find. She also kind of develops some powers along the way, so that's basically what this one is about. I did enjoy it. I had some issues with it, but overall it was a decent enough read. You'll get more information in my review coming up. The second ebook that I read is called Together at Midnight by Jennifer Castle. This is a book I've been reading for ages because I always read one book on my phone Kindle and I just read it whenever I'm on the tube or in a queue, so I just read like 2 pages every week or something, but I did manage to enjoy this one. It is a young adult contemporary kind of novel. It's set around New Year's, and what happens is these 3 kids witness somebody getting hit by a car, and this could have been avoided if any of the bystanders had intervened with an argument that she was having with her boyfriend that led to her being hit by the car. It shakes these 3 teenagers who witnessed it, and they feel like they need to get more proactive, doing more acts of kindness. So they get a challenge to do 7 random acts of kindness before New Year's, which is in 3 days' time. And they do them, things happen while they do them, and I just thought it was a really sweet story. It was kind of like heartwarming, about romance, about being kind, what that involves, if it's difficult or not, and you just get lots of little different stories. It was a nice read. I'm not going to say it was amazing, but it's not rubbish either. It was a decent read. And then my last read of February, which I actually finished on the 28th of February, right before I went to sleep, that was Shifting Sands by Michael Shishko. This is a thriller. Definitely a thriller. I would say a war political thriller, and basically the gist of it is that there's a war about to break out between Iran and the US to do with nuclear bombs and developments, and there is one mole inside a factory that the US cannot get into who is feeding them information, but her cover is basically blown and she is incriminating evidence which would lead to the war being stopped. So of course the US is trying to get to her and extract her from Iran so that she can break the news to the world and then the war can be avoided. At the same time, of course, Iran is catching on to her and want to keep her within its borders. There is a family of 3 brothers who do not get along anymore, Mark, Joel and Nick, who are sent on this mission. Things happen, it doesn't go as planned, it gets very dangerous, it gets very, very intense, and I absolutely loved this book. I have to admit the beginning was a bit slow, but then the suspense just got me so well. All the political and war information that I'd been getting at the beginning kind of just fell into place and made sense. My heart was racing, nothing seems to go as planned. I didn't know how the characters were going to survive the predicaments they were in, and Nick stole my heart. He's this like troubled, angsty guy who's an alcoholic, he's got post-traumatic stress disorder, but I loved him so much. So those are all the books that I read in February, quite a mix of genres, quite a mix of types of books, and I'm looking forward to what I might read in March. All I know is that I'll definitely be reading the sequel to The Raven Boys, and I am reading A Court of Thorn and Roses right now, so probably you'll be hearing about that in my March wrap-up. Please let me know in the comment section down below what you read in February, what was your favourite read of February, what are you planning to read in March, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell if you want to be notified every time I have a new video. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Goodbye. bye!